Hey guys, Josh here, created the DVRT system along with the DVRT coach Sean Latero of J&D Fitness here in Las Vegas. I'm happy to have Sean work with us. He's going to help us break down one of the most important and subtle things we can do, which is our sprinter stance. So this is an entire way of looking at changing body position. So whenever we look at training, we generally think of load, we definitely think of planes of motion. We want to change instability. But for a lot of us, we change instability unlike we do load or volume, meaning that we go for something very balanced, like a bilateral deadlift, and we go into a single leg deadlift, not really understanding that it's a quantum leap in body position. So something that strength coach Troy Anderson and I have developed over the last decade was this idea of progressive changing the body position. It's something we do in bodyweight training all the time, but when it comes to external load training, we don't see it in the same light. So very simply, a sprinter stance is basically a heel-toe relationship. So if I ask Sean to take a sprinter stance, it's just him taking a heel-toe. Now, why do we call it sprinter stance? Well, we used to call it staggered, but that was not very definitive upon what that meant. Some people over the course of the years having watched call this a kickstand, but again, not very definitive upon where my foot goes. What we try to do with sprinter stance was give you an idea of a sprinter coming out of the blocks, so a more athletic position, about heel-toe relationship. Now, does it exactly have to be heel-toe? No, but it gives you an approximation so that Sean's not stepping, he doesn't know where to step to. He's going about heel-to-toe like he would in coming out of the blocks as a sprinter. Now, don't get on me if the sprinters don't come out of the blocks exactly like that. It's just get you in the mindset. Now, what's great about this position is that it just gives us slight instability. So it makes any of the movements we're going to go over multiplanar. What do I mean? Just by swinging his feet slightly, when we press, we pull, we squat, we hinge, we're now having to resist rotation and resist lateral flexion. So we're having to resist frontal plane and transverse plane forces. So what we're going to do first is have Sean grab a couple of kettlebells and show how we use this in our presses. So Sean cleans up both bells. He's got a nice plank position to start with. His elbows are in tight. He's tightly grabbing. Now, here's the big thing. The back heel has to stay off the ground. If he drops his back heel, he actually tends to rotate his pelvis, and we don't want to be lifting with a rotated pelvis position, so not keeping that good plank integrity. He's going to plant through the ball of his foot, so I should see a crease in the foot. From here, we're going to do a little kettlebell press. I mean, one kettlebell is going to be down, and he's going to press the other kettlebell up. So you're going to create tension in one bell, pressing up. So to deal with the instability in the sprinter stance, he's creating tension upon this side to help him resist that lateral flexion and rotation. Nice, Sean. Now, we don't even have to go heavier. We can amplify this, though. We can use it to our advantage by going into a more alternating or seesawing action. So we press one up, he's going to pull down, this bell starts to shoot up. This gets us the natural pattern that our body likes to reciprocate motion. If you think about someone throwing a punch, it gets often that second punch is more powerful because, again, the elastic energy we build up. And relax, Sean. So, again, a very easy way to add progression for a lot of your clients. So, for those of you that are dealing with overweight clients, people that are older and have a hard time getting down to the ground to do half kneeling stuff and don't maybe want to do half kneeling stuff because it's too unstable, sprinter stance is really important. Also, for those of you that want to lift heavier loads, the sprinter stance is a great way to be in a stronger body position so you can actually press some big weights. Now, if we use the Ultimate Sandbag here, we get in that sprinter stance. I'll trade position with Sean. We're going to do a press from this position. And the deal with using the Ultimate Sandbag is now we have an unstable object. All right? So before with the kettlebells, we had a very stable object. Now, if you go sprinter stance, now we have an unstable load. So now he's not going to push to the feet, elbows into ribs, keep that tight fist to keep that nice strict press. Go ahead and press, Sean. And we want to see that nice plank. We don't want to see any lumbar extension. He's pulling the weight back down to him. On the fist position, creating tension in the hand again, we're getting very much like a bombs-up effect with a lot of grip, a lot of shoulder stability, while also working that pelvic and hip control with the core. So what we're going to do in a moment is show you how we do this with some of the other movement patterns that you're easily able to apply. So the cool thing with the sprinter stance is you can use it for almost any movement pattern. So again, one way we can progress the hip hinge, because there's so much value in doing single leg deadlifts, because how do the glutes shape? The glutes are more of a fan. So they're a triplanar muscle. They want to both create extension and resist frontal plane movement, and they're also critical in rotation. So just by going to a sprinter stance, we can help people progress from a bilateral position into a more unilateral position, but not taking them to that extreme. So one of the great things about using the Ultimate Sandbag here is before it was unstable, here we can use it to create some stability by creating tension in the handles. We watch Sean in a moment. When he creates tension in the handles by pulling them apart, he creates engagement of the lat, stabilizes his core, makes it easier to move from the pelvis. So if Sean gets in that position, again, he's going to get a heel-toe alignment. He's going to create tension first. So the exercise starts with tension both in the ground with his feet and tension in the handles. So I'm looking at the webbing should be pulled out as he is. So now he's going to push through both feet, stay nice and tall. And he did a great job of not dropping the heel. A lot of people want to drop the heel back as they pull up. You don't want to do that. So as he comes down, he wants to keep tension in the handle, keep pressing through the feet. So again, the way you prevent folding of the shoulders is that tension in the handles. Let's see again, Sean. Nice, it slides down. So we're getting, again, coaching, watching for lateral deviation. It will usually be towards the stance leg or rotation of the pelvis. If you see rotation, meaning it looks like one butt cheek is higher than the other, generally you want to cue more pressure into that rear leg. So if I turn Sean towards the kettlebells here, if I change his angle so you guys can see, you want to have that nice good point. So shoulders are packed, you see nice scapular control, we're engaging lat, core, and glute. Let's do a couple more, Sean. Excellent. So this is, again, a subtle way of adding progression to the movement. Now, the ultimate sandbag allows us to also change holding position. So Sean cleans the weight up in our front row, good morning. This is going to be a little more challenging. We're changing the leverage. Now we want to create tension against the bag, elbows stay close to the ribs. We want to see that same hip hinge. So as he comes down into the movement pattern, it should look just as though he was doing his deadlift. Nice flat back, his shoulders are engaged, he's putting pressure through his feet, and he's pushing through the ground to accelerate himself back up. Nice vertical shin, Sean, and relax. So again, 2 variations right off the bat to progress that hip hinge pattern. The last thing we can do is use the kettlebells because we can go unilateral. So when we go unilateral, generally we're going to load the back leg first because we want to see some of that cross pattern. So I'm going to switch up with Sean. Because we move in opposites, we want to create that tension. So he can, if you're using a smaller belt, you can deadlift it up first, whatever you prefer, as long as you have the proper mobility. Now, what I want to talk about mostly here is the idea of what he's doing with his shoulder. A lot of people, when they use kettlebells in these deadlift positions, they allow the hand to rotate in. And you see how his shoulder just collapsed. So if you were to go hip hinge in this position, go ahead and hip hinge, Sean, it's hard for him to keep that chain together. And a lot of people round in the thoracic spine and up round in the lumbar spine. Let's come back up. If he simply brings them to a more suitcase position, you can see how it instantaneously puts his shoulder in a better position. Now let's do it, Sean. Much better alignment. Now, let's also talk about grip and tension. If he's gripping tightly, you see he actually engages his scapular stabilizers even more so. So again, it's not just holding the bell there, but keeping the tension. So as he comes down, he's more unstable. He keeps good alignment. You see how the shoulder is not leading the movement. The shoulder is staying in line with the body. So that's the way you want to actually implement, whether you're using dumbbells or kettlebells in these type of positions. This will amplify some of that cross pattern that we get to really improve the chain of the body as well, not just the muscle.